I believe it was Benjamin Franklin that said, "There's nothing certain but death and taxes." But a new report shows that many don't understand the basic facts when it comes to probate, which is a component once you pass. More than half of Americans have no idea what probate costs. Less than half understand that inheritance is not automatic, and roughly 2% know how long it takes to actually settle an estate. When you guys help plan a client's estate, getting to, through, and beyond retirement, do you try to keep as much as you can out of probate?
Well, I went on the internet and I Googled, is probate bad? And Google said no. So there's your answer. Well, I guess when you look at, probate and trying to keep things out of probate, probate is a process. And, the process is, to transfer assets from your name into who could be your beneficiary. When we look at probate, I think a lot of the challenges about probate is number one is it can be very time consuming. Probate can take several months to years really to complete, depending upon how complex the estate is, whether there's disputes that arise. During that time, beneficiaries can have some different disagreements, and that can create delays in the process. Number two is it can be costly. So probate, the process can be expensive, including court fees, attorney fees, executor fees, appraisal fees. These fees really can eat into the overall estate and reduce ultimately what goes on to those beneficiaries. Number three is that a public process. Probate is a public process, meaning the details of the deceased estate, including the assets, debts, identification of beneficiaries, become part of the public record. In fact, a fun exercise is to go on the internet and you can read a lot of the wills of the famous people because it's public information. In this day and age, I think many of us, including myself, want to have more privacy when it comes to settling the estates and keeping things more confidential. Number four is there's the potential for disputes, and I talked a little bit about that in the time delay process, but it really kind of opens the door to say, hey, that's not what I heard. That's not what I thought was going to happen. That's not what was told to me. Those legal battles further delay and also add additional cost. There can be some inflexibility with the probate process. It's governed by the state law, which can be rigid and may not allow much flexibility on how estates are administered. It sometimes can be a part of the process of freezing up those assets. So those assets are typically frozen until the final process is completed. And that can create financial difficulties for those beneficiaries who may need some immediate access to those funds. And really, it can be an emotional, stressful process. So I meet with a lot of great people, and it's sometimes still shocking to me how many people have spent so much time, effort, and energy building up a big nest egg and net worth, but have done nothing on putting their estate plans in place. Going to leave their family with a huge probate problem. So all of those reasons are this checked off the list. In fact, what we did is we put together the estate planning checklist. This ultimate estate planning checklist, what it does is it walks you through the decades of. We're not attorneys, so we do legal documents or anything like that. But what we want to do is we want to help you make sure that you take the steps to plan out things properly. You have to understand what is probatable assets and what are not probatable assets. Good example of that is like 401 and investment. I'm a beneficiary on that investment account or 401k or life insurance, it's going to go directly to who you name as a beneficiary. It's not going to go through the probate process. So it's much quicker, cleaner, private, and gets exactly to where you want to be. But dealing with clients and talking to them about the probate process, what would you say?
Well, we recently lost our mother. I lost my mother-in-law, and I was her financial advisor. And I will say that she did a phenomenal job of making her wishes known. Secondly, making sure her beneficiaries were clearly identified. Number three, she worked closely with an attorney that was able to make sure that everything she wanted was going to be handled as expeditiously as possible. And not everyone does that. You know, I would say the most interesting scenario that I've seen is when I look at an account for a person and find out that his ex-wife is the beneficiary of that account, and they've been divorced for years. So it's like, don't take for granted that everything is exactly the way you want it. It makes sense to have beneficiary reviews done. It makes sense to see how everything that you've laid out, how it coordinates with your estate plan. You know, things like health care and durable powers of attorney on your will. You know what? If I'm incapacitated and I can't make a decision, I want someone that knows my wishes to be able to make those decisions in my stead. And that's all very important. And with beneficiaries and with a proper titling of accounts, the probate process can be, it's never, you can eliminate most of it by just having a plan. And here at America's Retirement Headquarters, we can help you craft that.
One way to help is with that ultimate estate planning checklist, which you can get by reaching out to the guys. ARHQ.com is the website. Yes, Nolan, as you pointed out, Google did say that, probate isn't bad, but it was a couple shows ago. Google also said that glue was an ideal topping on pizza. So perhaps, take that all with a grain of salt. Be prepared. Have a plan in place. That ultimate estate planning guide available to you. Just go to arhq.com or give a call, 419-794-3030.